President Gonzalez, you are streaming.
Thank you, and welcome to the Board of Education meeting for August 20th, 2025. I call the meeting to order. I do want to remind everyone speaking tonight that we use the closed captioning function on YouTube, so please speak as clearly as possible. Now I'd like to ask that you stand if able and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance in English and in Spanish. Of the United States and to the republic. We'll next move to our acknowledgement of tribal lands. We gratefully acknowledge the Native peoples on whose homelands we gather, as well as the diverse and vibrant Native communities who make their home here today. Next, I will ask for a moment of silence for those who have given their lives in service to their country. All right, next we will move on to our roll call. Dr. Albright, can we have a roll call, please?
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Here.
Nella Astorga.
Here.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Here.
Heather Benavides.
Here.
Josefina Dominguez.
Here.
Courtney Jackson.
Here.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Here. Our next item is to consider adoption of the August 20th, 2025 Board of Education meeting agenda. As a reminder, per the APS Board of Education Governance Manual, any board member can ask that an item be removed from the consent agenda before the meeting agenda is posted, but not during the meeting. Do we have a motion and a second for approval of the agenda?
I move to adopt the August 20th, 2025 Board of Education meeting agenda.
This is Crystal. I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion from member Dominguez and a second from member Tapia Romero. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Tapia Romero.
Yes.
Nella Astorga.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Yes. Our next item is to consider approval of the minutes from the Board of Education meeting on August 6th, 2025. Is there a motion and a second?
I move we approve the minutes from the Board of Education meeting on August 6, 2025. This is member Jackson.
I'll second this, member Dominguez.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Crystal Tapia Romero.
Yes.
Janelle Astorga.
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Yes. The next item on our agenda is our student outcomes recognition. And for this, I will turn it over to Superintendent Dr. Blakey.
Thank you, President Gonzalez and members of the board. When the Board of Education asked our community what mattered the most for our students, one priority that stood out was to prepare them for life after high school. And that's the promise behind Goal 3, which calls on us to ensure graduates leave APS ready for college, career, or whatever path that they choose. I am pleased to report that we are seeing meaningful progress on Goal 3. Nearly half of our graduates earned credit in multiple AP, IB, or dual credit courses, or they left with an industry certification or the bilingual seal. We are up more than 6 percentage points over the last 2 years, with especially strong gains in dual credit and industry certification. And behind each of those numbers are students who embody what Goal 3 is all about. Tonight, we would like to introduce you to a few of the students whose stories show what it looks like to be prepared for college and career. The students participated in the Beyond Graduation Showcase that you saw earlier this evening, and I hope that you were able to have a chance to visit with these individuals. Thank you to our students for being here tonight and showing us what it means to be prepared for life after high school. We would like to recognize you and to introduce you. As I call your name, if you can please stand on the side over here to be recognized, and then you'll come forward to get a certificate from us. From Cibola High School, we have Chanel Brown, She is an AP scholar who shared how advanced coursework, he's an AP scholar who, it doesn't say, who shared how advanced coursework shaped his pre-med aspirations. Avina Redhouse. She is a senior and a proud member of the Denai tribe and is earning a dual credit in Navajo studies. Marissa Arianes is in her second year of CIBLA's engineering and robotics program. Connor Scruggs, a junior into all things that are math and science, taking AP calculus and AP physics in addition to third year engineering. Fiona Berger, a senior in her fourth year of engineering classes and studying Mandarin through dual enrollment. From Highland High School, David Crispin, part of ProStart, an industry-backed culinary arts and restaurant management program for 4 years. He recently won a Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America Gold Medal and earned national recognition in food innovations. Jamie Webb. Jamie is a senior and 2-year ProStart student, distinguished herself as an FCCLA National Gold Medalist, earning 3rd place in the nation for her community service display. Trinity Lopez, a senior and 4-year ProStart student, another national FCCLA Gold Medalist who earned 3rd place in the nation for her community service display. Isaiah Trujillo, a senior and 4-year ProStart student who demonstrated skill and innovations as an FCCLA National Gold Medalist in food innovations. The showcase featured several Manzano students who talked about the Freshman Academy, which is part of the Academies of Albuquerque. This includes Sophia Rios Duval, who dreams of playing Division I softball and having a career in criminal investigation. And Cora Froelich, a saxophone player, choir singer, varsity soccer player, and all-around achiever. Brooke Meisner, who is passionate about reading, writing, teaching kids, and is a strong soccer player. From Rio Grande High School, talking tonight about next step plans were Krista Lee Jaramillo, a junior and member of the Isleta Pueblo in her 2nd year of an Indigenous Knowledge Keeper intern with APS Indian Education. Student leaders representing the Career Technical Student Organization include Olivia Cherry, a La Cueva senior who is president of New Mexico DECA, leading statewide student initiatives. Savina Aurora, also a La Cueva senior and vice president of hospitality for New Mexico DECA. Haley Peters, a senior at Volcano Vista and vice president of leadership for New Mexico DECA. And from Sandia High School, students representing Sandia High School's International Baccalaureate program are Eliza Torres, mock trial leader, track athlete, and National Honor Society member. Nora Warren, mock trial participant, accomplished flamenco performer. Senior Maggie Leone, who is active in Model UN, Key Club, and Chess Club. And Mia Arrington, a cheerleader, book club member, youth group leader, and a serious scholar. Let's give a big round of applause to these students for all of their outstanding achievements. And students, if you can please come forward and receive your certificates. Thank you. Will the friends and families and principals and teachers of our students please stand to be recognized for helping our students achieve what they have so far? Thank you.
You're such a cheerleader.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Blakey. And thank you again to all of our students, their teachers, staff, family, and all of the support for such your amazing accomplishments. Excuse me. We will allow you a little bit of time to exit. And while we are doing so, I will turn it over for our next agenda item to our secretary, member Astorga. Board Secretary Astorga, will you please share the instructions for public forum?
Yes, thank you. Welcome to our public forum guests. When you signed up to speak, you were asked to review rules and expectations which our presiding officer will enforce. The New Mexico Open Meetings Act requires that our agenda specify in advance the items that will be discussed and voted on during the meeting. Therefore, public forum is not a dialogue among speakers and board members, but rather a chance to hear from our community. We will call participants to speak in the order they signed up, whether in person or virtual. Those here with us tonight will be asked to come to the microphone at the back of the room when their name is called. Online guests will stay in a virtual waiting room until it is their turn to speak. We have set aside 45 minutes for public forum. If there are 22 or fewer speakers, you will each have 2 minutes to speak. Otherwise, you will have 1 minute. Tonight, we have 21 speakers, so you will each have 2 minutes. Once your time is up, you will be asked to quickly wrap up. If you feel unable to convey your message, you may email boarded@aps.edu. In addition, for those of you here tonight, a representative from our service center is here to assist you. Mr. Gonzalez, please introduce the speakers.
Thank you, Board Member Astorga. Our first speaker this evening is in the room, and it is going to be Sophia Rios Duval. Okay. Okay, you're going to have 2 minutes once you begin speaking, and the timer will be right there.
Hello, President Gonzalez and members of the board. My name is Sophia Rios Duval, and I'm a freshman at Manzano High School. I feel like I belong at Manzano because of the group of people and how no matter what, even if you don't know them, you will still feel welcomed into a group. There are no cliques and everybody just helps you feel connected with everybody. The teachers also helped us feel very welcomed with games and activities. In some of my classes, we did a bingo where we had to talk to people to find things we all had in common with them. I also had a lot of the same kids in my classes, which helped me feel like I belong here too, because I am making new friends. The freshman shirts at Jumpstart Day helped me too, because a lot of kids didn't have Manzano attire, and the shirts were able to give them a chance to represent and show their pride in their school. I'm on the softball team, and that helps me feel like I belong here too, because I knew people coming in. During weight training and softball class, my teachers are communicating with each other to push me harder because they know I want to beat D1 really badly. I feel supported at Manzano, and my coaches and teachers will help me get where I want to be when I grow up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker in the room is Patricia Summerall, and will be followed by Janet Sayers. And you'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening, fellow colleagues, welcome guests, and esteemed board members. My name is Patricia Summerall, and I'm entering my 29th year as a New Mexico educator. As a product of APS and a lifelong South Valley resident attending Los Padillas, Polk, and Rio Grande, I'm honored to speak to you tonight in regards to the success that Rio Grande has had in working towards APS goal of post-secondary readiness. As the APUSH teacher, I'm proud to share that in the last 4 years, APUSH has improved from 14 test takers with an average score of a 1.7 to 29 test takers with an average score of a 2. 65% of our APUSH students received a 2 or higher, meaning they are college ready. 6 students received a 3, meaning they received college credit, and our counselor's daughter is Rising Star, received a 4 and beat the global. This success could not have been achieved without the commitment of our district, our school administrators helping me with scheduling, teachers and students. Our AP Spanish program has also seen tremendous growth, encouraging the use of Spanish language and building a school culture that values cultural heritage. We have worked tirelessly to sponsor AP Parent Nights, Student Open Mic Nights, AP Testing Boot Camp, and I would like to ask you, the Board of Education, to continue to support AP teachers and their students. AP teachers undertake the teaching of college-level courses for the love of their content and for their students to achieve academic aspirations and to prepare for the future. There is a lot of work that goes into this without extra time or pay. It is truly a work of the mind done from the heart with the best results that a teacher could ask for. A student with a bright future and the confidence to lead in the clarity of action. At this time, I would like to proudly introduce to you Jaden Cruz. Jaden is one of the AP ambassadors recognized by the AP College Board to spread the word of all things AP. Jaden is actually the only AP ambassador recognized by College Board for APS and in the entire state. I'd like for him to give his little speech this moment to let us know about his experiences doing such.
Good evening. My name is Jaden Cruz, and I'm here to talk about my experience with College Board. As an AP ambassador, I attend Google Meets with fellow students across the country. During these meets, we are put in collaborative groups and discuss ways how we could spread the AP program. We would take the ideas that were discussed and utilize them in our schools. Some ways that I utilized these ideas were at our AP nights. For example, I showed students how to access their College Board accounts and how to take the free college and career quizzes the program has. The thing that drives me to continue what I have been able to do is to give my fellow students opportunities that they might not know what they have. Thank you.
So thank you, and thank you for letting us share our successes at Rio Grande with our AP program. Thank you, Edmund.
Our next speaker is Janet Sayers. You'll have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Madam Superintendent. Even though I'm wearing red, and that's Rio Grande's color, I should have on my turquoise for Del Norte. But I just wanted to mention tonight that we've been doing a 20-day welcome back at Del Norte. I've had the honor and opportunity to stand out in front at 8 a.m. to 8:30 with a sign saying, "Welcome back, students." And after 5 days, I actually started getting some smiles and kids that would take out their earbud things and talking. And it's been a fun experience. We've also had some special events during the lunchtime. And today, going along with the theme of clear bag, where's Phil Casals? Well, anyway, excuse me. Clear bags that are going to be required now at all the games. I discovered that we had the Bernalillo County voter registration out to help 18-year-olds or kids that will soon be 18 register to vote. And they were giving away clear plastic bags. So they're channeling APS. But again, this is an important time to start the school year off right. And thank you again for what you're doing, your service to the community. And I will be voting in support of the, whatever that amount is. I think it's a very large number on November the 4th, because no matter where you stand and what APS does right or wrong, the buildings are for the kids and for the teachers. We want those buildings to be accessible and heated and cooled properly and have good roofs and good furniture. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is in the room. Our next speaker is Rodney Prutney. So you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening, APS Board. My name is Rodney Prunty. I'm the president and CEO of United Way of North Central New Mexico. And I'm here to express our endorsement and excitement for the Academies of Albuquerque, a career-connected learning initiative we believe will transform what is possible for every student. Together with APS, we're launching a bold effort where in the next few years, every high school student will receive career-focused learning that connects classroom study to real-world opportunities. This is not about one program, but a sustained, scalable transformation to prepare students for college, careers, and life. This approach improves student engagement, attendance, and graduation rates by weaving authentic workplace relevance into high school learning. United Way is proud to serve as a partner in this effort, bringing together businesses, nonprofits, higher education, and a broad network of community partners to design, implement, and sustain the Academies of Albuquerque. The plan is intentional and clear. Students explore career pathways in freshman year, learn through that lens from sophomore year to senior year, and complete work-based learning experiences, internships, and a capstone project. The payoff? Students graduate with the skills and attributes necessary to be successful in life while contributing to a robust local economy and with the experience that how learning translates into opportunity. So let's move forward with urgency, collaboration, and shared accountability in creating confident, skilled graduates and a workforce that drives our economy for years to come. Because united is the way. You like how I did that? We support educational outcomes for our kids. So thank you so much for your leadership and partnership in making this vision reality. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So our next speaker is in the room, Coach Scott Benavides. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you, APS Board, for this opportunity. My name is Scott Benavides. I'm the owner-operator of Mr. B's Paint and Body Shop here in Albuquerque, established by my family in 1978.
Normally.
For the past few years, since APS has gotten rid of some of the trade classes in APS, we've been losing technicians in the collision field and the mechanic field. Right now, everybody that I talk to is at least a man down on the mechanic side and the auto body side of technicians. With the help of Highland High School and their community, we've brought back the trade school after school at Highland and teaching young kids collision repair. We need funding for this, right? The funding has been gone for the trades in APS, and we need funding to keep this alive. These kids are learning, they're doing very well. You'll meet a gentleman that our first hire, his name is Naeem Valdez, and we hired him out of class. He was a senior last year, and he's doing very well for us, so that's been a big help. Also, APS can help us by lowering some firewalls in the classrooms because we are unable to get some help from big communities to teach them our software programs for our collision industry, and the firewall won't let them come in. And it's been a big hiccup for us. Naeem, who works for me, making $15 an hour, could have been making $18 an hour if those firewalls were off, right? So we can teach these kids on our computer-based systems. So with that, we need your help. We need to lower those firewalls so that these kids can learn these programs, parts procurement, and some other stuff that would help. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is in the room, Brooke Meisner. And Brooke will be followed by Chloe Frolich. You'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Hello, President Gonzalez and members of the board. My name is Brooke Meisner, and I'm a freshman at Manzano High School. At the end of my 8th grade year, I had to make a decision. Should I attend the small charter school in the East Mountains or go to the dauntingly large high school in town? The majority of my classmates decided to go to East Mountain High School. However, I went the opposite direction and attended Manzano. Manzano is an extremely diverse school with all types of people from many different backgrounds. The differing opinions and perspectives of the students are grounded in reality, and this is what makes it the school for me. Manzano does an amazing job of providing students with classes and extracurricular activities that spark our interests and propel us toward the jobs of our futures. Since most of my friends went from middle school decided to attend a different school, I was extremely anxious for my first day at Manzano. Fortunately, Manzano did an excellent job of finding a way to calm the nerves of the incoming freshman students. Jumpstart Day. Jumpstart was the time to get your schedule, register, and attend an orientation assembly. Along with this, Manzano used a scavenger hunt activity to help us find our classrooms and places like the student center, the office, and the library. Along the way, we also met other incoming students. For me, this calmed my jitters and helped my first day run smoothly without the stress of walking into the wrong room. Manzano is an amazing school and community that fully supports its students. It provides us with a chance to grow and make a difference in whatever path we choose. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. So next is Chloe Froelich, and she'll be followed by Crystalee Jaramillo.
Hello, President Gonzalez and members of the board. My name is Cora Froelich, and I'm a freshman at Manzano High School. I personally am very thrilled to be part of the Manzano High School Freshman Academy. They have made me feel very included and prepared. They have many different options for electives, clubs, and classes. Jumpstart Day was very helpful for me because it helped me memorize all my classes the day before school started. I also got to meet my teachers and some staff members. It helped me feel more comfortable because without Jumpstart Day, I would have been lost and nervous. My teachers have been so supportive with all their students and classes. They have helped me not feel so nervous about due dates because most of them have the same late work policy where they give full credit if you turn in your assignment 7 days after the due date. Many of them don't give out extra homework unless it's needed, but if you don't finish your class and work, you are expected to finish it as homework. I feel like I belong because I can join clubs, sports, and classes that interest me and other people. Because of this, I find people who have similar goals and interests as me. I'm in advanced choir, symphonic band, marching band, varsity soccer, and track. These have kept me very busy. I'm learning so much. I'm finding new friends in all these activities that have the same interests as me. The amount of opportunities Manzano provides us makes me feel way more prepared to move on in the future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Crystalee is our next speaker. Is the microphone okay? Excellent. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Crystalee Jaramillo, and I'm a student from Rio Grande High School. I am a junior. I'm a student in the Indigenous Knowledge Keepers internship, part of the APS Indian Education Department. Today, I want to share how this program connects our culture, our education, and our future. We are Native High School juniors and seniors from schools across APS. This program was created to support Indigenous students by combining academics, career readiness, and community leadership. It's about walking into worlds, carrying our culture while preparing for our future. As interns, we earn high school elective credits for our hours, and we also earn credentials like the food handler certificate. We build career skills like teamwork, leadership, public speaking, and at the end, we complete a capstone project. This program aligns with APS and New Mexico standards. It helps us meet the APS graduate profile, literacy, math, post-secondary readiness, and life skills. It builds career readiness, skills like program solving, communication, and teamwork. And it is rooted in APS Indian education values: wisdom, generosity, belonging, mastery, and independence. One of our students said, "This isn't just a program, it's a change to grow in ways you might not expect. You'll learn from incredible teachers, from meaningful relationships, and gain a deeper appreciation for Indigenous traditions and identity." This is how many of us feel being part of this internship, including me. The Indigenous Knowledge Keepers internship is not just preparing us to graduate, it's preparing us to be leaders in our families, our communities, and our careers. Thank you for supporting us, Indigenous students in APS.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Sebastian Reed. And following Sebastian will be Naeem Valdez. Sebastian, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Hello, my name is Sebastian Reed. I'm a junior from Highland High School. First, I'd just like to thank all of you for being here. And I'd like to thank APS and the Boys and Girls Club for giving me the opportunity to be a part of my program. What we do is ICAR, which is the auto body. It's a part of the auto body field. And I'm just really grateful to be a part of it because it's given me a family and just giving me so many opportunities to pursue one of my passions, which is the auto mechanic field. They also pay us, which is pretty good. So I just like to say that. Additionally, it really helps just to know about like cars, because eventually when I buy my own, I'll be able to fix it whenever it breaks. I'd also just like to say that all the people that are a part of my program are just wonderful, wonderful individuals and just great people all around. I'd also like to thank some of my teachers for just being amazing teachers. They really help us out whenever we don't know something or we need help with something. Some of our day-to-day stuff is iCar, which is a website that goes into depth about how to work with like auto mechanics and certain spectrums of the auto body field. I'd just like to thank APS and the Boys and Girls Club one more time. Thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Naeem Valdez, followed by David Crespin. You'll have 2 minutes, Naeem.
Good afternoon. My name is Naeem Valdez. About a year ago, I started iCar classes. This helped me to quit my job in a fast food job that was not paying me enough and was bad environment. This helped me to get to be a part of a family that is iCar and to learn new stuff and life skills. And I'm thankful to iCar, to Scott, to Miss Laura, to iCar, to Boys and Girls Club to make this happen, because it helps a lot of kids to chase their dreams. It helps them learn new stuff in life. Not a lot of people gets to learn this stuff, and having this class helps them a lot to learn. Not only in class, also in life. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Go. All right, our next speaker is David Crespin.
Good afternoon, President Gonzalez, members of the board, and Superintendent Blakely. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is David Crespin, and I'm here representing Highland High School ProStar and FCCLA programs. ProStar is a nationally recognized career technical education program that equips students with real-world skills in culinary arts, hospitality management, and restaurant leadership. Our program at Highland also integrates FCCLA, the Family Career Community Leaders of America, where students gain not only hands-on training, but also have the chance to develop leadership, teamwork, and service-oriented skills that will serve us throughout our lives. In a community like Albuquerque, with our vibrant food culture and growing hospitality industry, our students deserve access to pathways to prepare them for local careers. ProStar students work with industry mentors, practice food safety in the highest standards, and even earn certificates that make them job ready upon graduation. Through FCCLA, we compete in state and national level challenges, gaining recognition, scholarships, and certificates. This past summer, we had the opportunity to compete in Orlando, Florida against 48 states and Virginia Islands and Puerto Rico, bringing back first and third place in the nation in 2 of our events. We are extremely proud of this accomplishment because we're the first high school in New Mexico to be able to accomplish winning first in the nation. I'm here today to ask that you continue supporting these programs. By supporting us, you're supporting the workforce development, student leadership, and community pride. ProStar with FCCLA doesn't just prepare students for jobs. It prepares them to be leaders professionally and personally. I urge the board to continue investing and expanding opportunities for students throughout ProStar and FCCLA. With your support, we can inspire more young people to see themselves not only as students, but as future leaders in our community. Thank you for your time and commitment to our students' success.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is online, and it is Helen Geisner and Amelia Jones. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, you'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening, board members. I'm Felicia Torres. I'm the IB MYP coordinator at Cleveland Middle School. We are currently in our candidacy phase and working towards our authorization by the end of the school year. Cleveland is the only IB, MYP, and APS, and the second public school in the state. IB MYP creates a pathway from Cleveland's MYP to Sandia High School's DP program. This evening, I have two students from CMS to present on the IB MYP.
Good evening, board members. I'm Helene Gessner, and I'm in 8th grade. I participate in volleyball, basketball, cross country, track, student leadership, and National Honor Society.
Good evening, board members. I'm Amelia Jones. I'm in the 7th grade. I participate in volleyball, basketball, track, and National Honor Society. Here at Cleveland, the IB program has a principled environment and plenty of benefits for our students, such as the foreign language class, volunteering within our community, and tutoring class period to help us and our classmates excel in their ELA and math. Also, our lessons connect back to the IB learner attributes and to the global community.
Some things we've noticed that have changed in our middle school years are that our teachers are pushing us to follow all of the IB expectations and principles and hold ourselves to a higher standard. The IB middle year program provides us with other opportunities and perspectives that other middle schools don't have. For example, everyone is learning the same thing, but at different approaches.
IB will prepare us for high school by giving us opportunities other middle schools don't have, including taking a foreign language class and practicing public speaking, so that we are prepared for a more diverse social environment. If we include an IB program pathway in elementary schools, it would be beneficial to the students by giving them opportunities to learn because they can become critical thinkers earlier on. This could help them accelerate in middle school, high school, and become lifelong learners.
Thank you for your time, board members.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is in the room, Vanessa Gonzalez. And you'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening, President Gonzalez, Superintendent Blakey, and esteemed board members. My name is Vanessa Gonzalez, and I am in my 4th year teaching science at Cleveland Middle School. I am the current Albuquerque and New Mexico chapter Air and Space Force Association STEM Teacher of the Year. 2 years ago, I got some of the most exciting news I had ever gotten as an educator. I found out that my school was going to become an international baccalaureate candidacy school. I knew that this would bring along with it increased rigor in the classroom, high quality teaching practices and curriculum, and most importantly, a feeling that most kids nowadays don't understand, which is that we are a part of a much larger global community. As my school continued with its progress in the accreditation process, not only did my practices and pedagogy as an educator grow, but my excitement was only further fueled by the knowledge that my own son would be attending this middle school in a couple of years along with me. Knowing that he can continue this high level of education, of IB education, as he enters the diploma program for International Baccalaureate at Sandia High School is invaluable to me as a mom, an educator, and an advocate for lifelong learning. I now champion the hard work and the fundamental building of the future leaders of our society that the International Baccalaureate program creates. I've seen and spoken with the graduates of Sandia High School, and I've seen how my own middle school colleagues and its students have benefited in just a few short years of this program's implementation. In alignment with APS Goal 3 of post-secondary readiness, I am imploring the school board to have a deep consideration for the implementation of a primary years program at an APS elementary school. IB should not be something that's confined to a lottery opportunity for our Albuquerque students. And having the option of a full IB pathway is something that would be invaluable to parents like myself who long to put my 3rd grade daughter into such a program. If the goal of APS is to generate capable, globally minded, knowledgeable, balanced, and risk-taking students, then a full IB pathway is without a doubt a primary source for these goals. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is in the room, Dr. Sanello. And you'll be Dr. Sanello, and you'll be followed by Mary Walker Herrera. And you have 2 minutes, sir.
Good evening, Madam President, school board members, and superintendent. Thank you for serving. First of all, it's good to see all high school students here. Not only am I an alternative health doctor, minister, but also a sports performance and nutrition coach. RFK Jr. and the Make American Children Healthy Again, or MACHA Commission, have released a landmark 72-page report that the health of American children is in crisis. And the findings are staggering. 54% of American kids now suffer from chronic illnesses, a dramatic increase from previous generations. But rather than just sounding the alarm, Kennedy's report offers a clear, actionable roadmap to reverse this crisis, focusing on industrial toxins, processed food, contaminated water, and pharmaceutical drug and vaccine overuse. The MACHA report reveals that chronic conditions, once rare in kids, are now the new normal. 1 in 2 children has at least one chronic illness, such as asthma, ADHD, autism, diabetes, obesity. And then secondly, autoimmune disorders have tripled in the last 30 years. Developmental delays and neurological conditions are skyrocketing. Not to mention those who have taken COVID shots and other adverse side effects or poisonous effects, so-called vaccines, are playing Russian roulette due to compromised immune system. I hope I'm wrong, but expect within 18 years that turbo cancer, blood clots, and other underlying health issues, according to scientific research. As you can see, how do we expect our children and students to perform well academically and athletically? What are you all practically going to do about it? I would hope that school board members would be proactive in this process for the sake of our children's health and well-being in our schools. Thank you, and may Yahweh Rapha, the Lord God, the healer, be upon us all.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Mary Walker Herrera. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening, Madam President, school board members, and superintendent. My name is Mary Herrera, and I'm a special education EA in a severe needs classroom. And this evening, I'd just like to ask for a minute of silence. And that would be to ask ourselves, why am I here? For power, prestige, money, for personal interest, or representing the people of New Mexico? For the betterment of our educational system, to find solutions, to have better education for our students? Why am I here?
Our next speaker is in the room, Teresa Garcia, followed by Renee Pacheco. And you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Hi, good evening. I'm a mother of 2 students at Atrisco Heritage Academy. I'm here tonight seeking your support and attention in person, where I have emailed about this concern to the board as well as to my representative. Our children are sitting in classrooms that are well over 90 degrees. Teachers are being forced to teach in unbearable heat because the chiller at Atrisco Heritage Academy keeps breaking down, which cools several buildings. Speaking to the staff, it isn't a new issue. It's been happening since 2009. It's now 2025. They have purchased window units, but not all classrooms have windows where it's a Band-Aid, and the system should be properly fixed. Why not invest in properly fixing the issue rather than adding more expenditures for Band-Aids? This is not just about comfort, it's about safety, health, and our children's ability to learn. These concerns are not only for Atrisco, but district-wide. But I know that this is not something that APS can do alone. If we work together across the board, city, county, APS, and state, and truly allocate funds where they are needed, starting with our schools, we wouldn't still be talking about basic needs like safe classrooms, working AC, and a healthy learning environment for our kids. This also includes sidewalks for accessibility and proper school lighting for safety while crossing 118th and Dennis Chavez, which is a really busy intersection. A lot of our schools need accessible sidewalks and proper school lighting. It was stated in public comment at City Council that APS Board's capital budget is $473 million. APS's operating budget is $2.3 billion. With this large funding, our schools should not be experiencing the lack of attention and not have proper AC and/or heating. The Southwest Mesa is a vibrant, hardworking community filled with families and several schools that need your attention, not just the Twisco. I'm committed to working with all of you in our community to ensure that our children have safe, accessible, and properly operating classrooms and campuses. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is in the room, Renee Pacheco. You'll have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Good evening, board members. A former student of Calvary Christian Academy decided to attend El Dorado, a public high school, for his senior year. Now he is returning due to the lack of morality and privacy. Only after a few weeks of attending El Dorado, he found out that students were not held accountable for ditching classes. They had no consequences and no work to make up. He also told me that there is a senior boy who identifies as a girl. He's allowed to go into the girls' restroom, making their private space an unsafe space. When teachers allow this behavior, they are opening the doors to dangerous circumstances. There is evidence of girls being raped in these bathrooms, and public schools covering it up, then sending the boy who identifies as a girl to a different school, only to do it again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is online and on Zoom, Megan Long.
Hello.
Hi, you have 2 minutes. Well, I can see you and hear you. You have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you. Hello, board members. Thank you for allowing us to speak today. I just wanted to voice my concern about this RFP process and how it's being taken behind closed doors. I think in my experience with APS, I've seen one too many times the illusion of community input and the illusion of teamwork, only to have it thwarted by an executive committee decision being made without full transparency. And I think we should remember what got us here and all of the outcry and the call for action because of this contract that had previously been with the Council of Great City Schools, and that we need to ensure that we don't end up in that same exact place following this closed door RFP process. I really want to see it play out. I want the community to continue to have input. I want to have that ability to communicate with board members, those willing. And I feel like I've seen such a shift in the last couple of months since that last contract ended, and I really would like to see that continue to happen. I really want to see meaningful conversations taking place and collaboration with the community. That's what's important to me, and I'm saying that to you as I'm taking a step away from the Yazzie Martinez process that's happening here at Embassy Suites, and because it's what matters to me. And I am an actual parent. I am someone who is truly invested in public education. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is also on Zoom, Nina Simbana. Nina, are you there? Nina, are you there?
Can you hear me? See me?
We can see and hear you. You'll have 2 minutes
Okay.
once you begin speaking.
Hello, I am an APS parent. I'm also a public school advocate, and I attended the SOFG community workshop at the end of July. I joined approximately 25 teachers, school leaders, support staff, community members, and fellow parents. I reflect on that meeting today because of Agenda 10.1. What stood out from that meeting was the frustration many families feel about not being heard and the empathy within our community for how families are feeling abandoned. Board members who were present witnessed a powerful exchange that underlined one central theme. There is reoccurring lack of relationship building and trust from APS toward our families. As you head into executive session to discuss the RFP process for hiring new coaches, I urge you to consider how contractors can help strengthen relationships and build real trust with families. I ask board members to be honest about their own experience with coaching under the Council of Great City Schools and how it affected their relationships with their constituents. I want to acknowledge that the board conversations and decisions have felt much more authentic since coaches have been absent from this forum. It seemed as though the board was previously being led in a certain direction, but in the most recent board meetings, your focus feels more centered on children and our schools. And to your credit, you achieved that by using your own expertise to guide you. In the SOFG meeting, I especially appreciate the educator who said they would like us to measure growth that students make in their progress rather than status. That shift from rigid benchmark to genuine growth is a better foundation for measuring outcomes. It's not perfect, but for students like myself, an English language learner, it is critical that we don't continue to put students in a box. Let's celebrate backgrounds, cultures, and language giftedness, recognizing the standardized tests cannot be used to measure progress within certain groups. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last speaker is in the room, Michael Shaver. Mr. Shaver, you have 2 minutes once you begin speaking.
Thank you, Superintendent, Madam President, and board members. My name is Michael Shaver. I'm a retired school teacher and Constitution coach from District APS District 2. And I appreciate the opportunity to bring to your attention a question of curriculum. The question is, how is APS complying with the United States Code 36, Section 106 that says each educational institution that receives federal funds for a fiscal year shall hold an educational program on the United States Constitution on September 17th of such year for the students served by the educational institution. And all the years that I taught in APS, I was totally unaware of this. But since I've been a coach, I've been passionately interested in it. And I haven't gotten down here to ask you about it. So if it's possible that someone could get me the information, I sure would appreciate it. It's probably too late to do much of anything right now because September 17th is upon us. But I'd love to see how we can do a better job of the Constitution and bringing it to everybody's attention. And you know, that question that was famously asked of Benjamin Franklin, what sort of a government have you given us? And he said, well, a republic if you can keep it. Nobody asked that next question. How do we keep it? If we don't teach the Constitution, we won't. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. And board members, that concludes public forum.
Thank you, and thank you to all of our public forum guests today. We will now move on to the next item on our agenda, which is agenda item 6.1 to consider acceptance of progress monitoring report for goal 3 post-secondary success. Our presenters for this agenda item are Dr. Gabriela Duran-Blakey, our superintendent, Dr. Antonio Gonzalez, Deputy Superintendent of Operations, and Sherry Jett, Chief Academic Officer, and Marco Harris, Assistant Superintendent. Our facilitator for this discussion is Board Member Courtney Jackson. I'll turn it over to you, Member Jackson.
Thank you. Hello? Am I on? Okay. All right. Thank you, President Gonzalez. So I'm going to actually give it just a sec. You guys can get comfy.
Okay. All right. So tonight, we will be monitoring Goal 3, measuring post-secondary readiness. Before we begin, we need to confirm that our monitoring report is complete. I believe that all of the criteria for an effective report has been met, but I will open the floor for anyone else who thinks we may be missing one of the elements. Does anyone have evidence to suggest otherwise? Seeing none, we will move on. So since everyone agrees that the required elements are present, we will now open the floor for our monitoring conversation. As a reminder, we have asked questions that are technical or tactical in nature before tonight's meeting. Those questions and their answers are posted with the agenda materials for the public to see. Each board member is expected to ask a question during the meeting to help us understand how the administration's actions align to the board's goals and guardrails. These questions must be SMART, meaning they must be strategic, measure-focused, ask-oriented, results-driven, and time-bound. So we are ready to get started. I'm just going to start right here to my right with Board Member Dominguez.
Thank you. My first question is a curiosity. I've been trying to ask questions that connect the previous progress monitoring report, which happened on, I believe it was April 2nd. Trying to see the through line to the current. But I'm curious about the absence of 3.1 and 3.2 and what shifts and strategies have happened to prompt a change since the last, to justify or to explain, rather, not justify, explain their absence. And I'm concerned about the 9th graders, of course, because historically, they've struggled. And so I'll leave it at that.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Blakey, thank you for the question. I think one of the things that I can say in alignment to the previous progress monitoring report to the current one is we've grown in the sophistication of our work. Specifically, I'd like to highlight the work of the Academies of Albuquerque, which a component of that work is indeed specifically focused on our 9th grade student population. Because our 9th grade students, we know that transitional year, any transitional year, 6th grade, kindergarten, it's a big deal, and we want their success to be real. The Academies of Albuquerque offers us a framework, offers us a space to really look at not just the career academies, but really the onset of high school. And what does a 9th grade academy, a robust 9th grade academy, look like in terms of small learning communities, families working to take a freshman class of 300 and really shrink it down to a smaller group of students to provide a transitional opportunity for our students to have a strong start in high school. So I think the 9th grade question's a point well taken, and one that we're really working on right now with the Academies of Albuquerque component at the 3 schools, but also really fleshing out what 9th grade academy looks like for all of our high schools.
And so I have a follow-up to that. How will we track our 9th graders and 10th graders for that matter? How will we track their student outcomes with regard to the academies?
President Gonzalez, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, a few ways. And I think for some of them are embedded within the strategies of the report. One that comes to mind immediately is the work of the student success systems and the work previously known maybe as EWS, early warning systems, a comprehensive, proactive approach to look at multiple measures, not one indicator alone, not just attendance, not just grades, not just discipline, but really the whole student, the whole child, to ensure that we are not looking at this data just a semester, but really on an ongoing basis, as narrow as a weekly basis, and really looking to see how this system is going to provide us the data we need to do early intervention to ensure that our students are passing their classes, are gaining the support that they need academically, but maybe perhaps even emotionally in the school space, wraparound services, capitalizing upon the community school methodology that we have at many of our schools to really look and say, okay, fine, what is the data telling us from an EWS or student success system point of view? And based on that data by school, how are we wrapping around the necessary supports to respond to what the data is telling us? So for instance, if we have a high chronic absenteeism issue at a given school, what are we doing with our community partners to intervene, to connect with the home, to connect with the parents and support that in a meaningful way? And there's several other examples that I could give in terms of the whole child.
I guess I'm trying to understand how is it different now than it was a year ago? I'm not getting that from the report.
I'll give you Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, I'll give you an example. One of the things that we've done through the performance framework is we have identified, as you know, tiered schools. And one of our schools are, one of our areas is our priority schools, the schools in need, based on their data, of targeted and intentional support. So part of that targeted and intentional support is some FTE. One of those FTE is a student success systems resource teacher. So that personnel, that person was not in place a year ago based on the work we've done. But as you know, during budget approval time, we talked about how are we being more intentional with our resources to target our resources in the areas in which we need them to be to intervene in meaningful ways based on the student data and the student outcome data that we're receiving. So that's an example of how things are different this year than they were last year based on early intervention.
Okay, thank you.
President Gonzalez. Thank you, Member Jackson, and thank you to the team for your work on Goal 3 and the progress. I recognize that we're monitoring Goal 3 overall, and we're not monitoring the interims right now. So I appreciate that focus on the Goal 3 comprehensively. My question is about the academies of Albuquerque and how you are thinking about connecting them into the Goal 3 work.
This is Dr. Mallory-Wine, our new Deputy Superintendent of Teaching and Learning.
Get ready, you're about
Answering his first question.
Madam President, members of the governing board, Superintendent Blakey, I think that even though I'm on day 13, I think that the answer to that question is kind of, it'll be easier for me to answer because I've been working with academies for quite a while and course sequencing and looking at how to get students college and career ready, really from a pre-K 12 lens. So I think as we are developing out the college and career academies or the academies of Albuquerque, we will be looking at multiple stakeholders to make these decisions, but I can give you an example of what it could look like. Once the academies are determined and each schools develop their pathways, within those pathways, there will be CTE opportunities for kids to take 1, 2, 3 completer classes, and that will assure a student will walk out meeting the goal with an industry certification. A lot of those pathways, those course sequencing will also include advanced classes. That could be IB, that could be AP, that could be dual enrollment. Again, as they're working through that pathway, they will be working through CTE coursework, they will be looking for advanced coursework. And then depending on the pathway, there might be opportunities for kids to earn the seal. So the sheer creation of the course sequencing that'll work within the pathways will put kids on a path to meet this goal naturally by working their way through the academy. At the junior and senior is when those students, through their career exploration experience, will get the opportunity to then get some work-based learning, which again aligns in the college and career readiness framework. But the sequencing of the coursework, once it gets all laid out, it'll be built in a way that ensures large amounts of students, if not a high amount. Like Mark and I even looked at today and we said, oh, we can see this going to 80 to 90% very quickly as we build these out the correct way. So it's the way that the pathways will be sequenced, and we'll bring a multitude of experts into the room. We'll have our CTE director, we'll have our teaching and learning. It'll be high school principals, high school leadership teams. It'll be a multitude of stakeholders that will build out these pathways, but the pathways will create a very streamlined process for kids to ensure that every kid meets goal 3.
Thank you for that. And can I just ask a quick follow-up? That's helpful context. And so my primary follow-up is on the question of equity and equitable allocation of opportunity across the district, given that there's going to be distinct pathways in each different high school. So can you speak to sort of your theory of action for how you're going to ensure equity and equitable access of opportunity? And then within that, sort of, what do you see as the role of the Career Enrichment Center now, which is sort of the way that everybody gets access to other opportunities? And are you envisioning shifts there? But just sort of generally, what's the work ahead for equitable access?
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, I'll start. And I think part of the theory of action is to change in adult behavior. And I'll give you a specific example. As this gets fleshed out, I could see a scenario in which we look at the way we transport students in the Albuquerque Public Schools. Based on the way our pathways are rolled out and based on access, we want to make sure that we are meeting the comprehensive portfolio, but individual needs of students and families. So that could mean us looking at things very differently and capitalizing on some of the early precedent that's been set with super stops, providing super stops throughout the city. So students from the South Valley could take advantage of a West Side pathway or vice versa. And really looking to see how, once this is defined, we look at the systems that adults control in the district to really strike the equity in access. And I'm sure there's other examples that the team may have.
I think one thing that I'll share is as we're developing our freshman academies, we're creating opportunities for all students to understand and make a clear choice for their pathway. A lot of times students they think about maybe a career, but what we really want our kids to start with is what kind of lifestyle are you looking for as you move forward, and then giving them the options that maybe they didn't even know existed of possibilities for their future. Adolescents, they choose things sometimes impulsively or with very little information. Our freshman academy is going to be able to provide opportunities for kids to really understand the lifestyle they want to live and the careers that could be available for them after or through whichever choice they make in their pathways. I think what Dr. Gonzalez said is something that we have to look at. But as we develop our academies and we spread them and throughout the city of Albuquerque, there's going to be quite a bit of opportunity for every child to move into a high wage, high demand profession, to also get college and career academy. A lot of our kids that come from marginalized communities that are first generation college students, they haven't been exposed to an advanced class or multiple advanced classes, which we know the research will tell you 1 to 2 advanced classes can mean all the difference in the world in that post-secondary success. I mean, I was a first generation college student, so that's something that really speaks to me. And so not only is it giving students access to programs, it's giving them the understanding and the knowledge to make a well thought out decision and have their families have the opportunity to be involved in that decision. That's one of the things that we will build out and ensure as we evolve. This process is iterative. This process is going to take a number of years to get it to where this community deserves. But one of the things that we will start with is evolving into getting the information to our students and our families so they can make a well-rounded decision for their child's pathway. One thing I will share with you is there's a couple positives that can come out of the pathway that maybe be really unrealized. Sometimes a student will be interested in an area and declare a pathway and get in there and decide, oh, I really don't like that. So then instead of a kid going into a post-secondary experience and they not knowing what they're getting into and obviously wasting thousands of dollars or different time, they can make a decision on, a lot of times you can make a decision on where to go by what you don't want to do or what you do want to do. And what we are committed to is being able to provide that information to our students and our families so they can make a decision when they choose that 10th grade pathway and then whatever academy that may fall in.
Thank you.
Okay, Member Benavides.
You, Facilitator Jackson. So good evening. Thank you for being here today, and shout out to first generation college students. I was one of them myself. Okay, so my question was, I was asking you all to please identify systemic barriers to APIB, dual credit, and industry certifications for our students. And the three you listed were unequal access due to scheduling conflicts and course placement, lack of student awareness, and cost of exams. And you provided in the answers to the questions, you provided operational changes that will remove these boundaries within 1 year. And because our community members watch the meetings, but they don't necessarily read the supporting documentation, would you please go over those and so that everybody can hear, because it's a fantastic list. And can you also let us know as board members what we can do in the community to facilitate this?
Board Member Benavides, board members, Dr. Blakey, thank you for having us this evening. And I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you for the team who helps us sort of put this report together for you all. It's an amazing set of people that we have a chance to work with. If I think I understand the question correctly, you were asking with regards to what some of the barriers may be to our students accessing AP and IB. As you eloquently stated, unequal access due to scheduling may be a concern and or an issue. And so what we are looking at with our counselors, with our teachers, is really building robust opportunities for them to understand what is the opportunity for students to access through their curriculum, through the academies. And so we also believe that there's going to have to be a great deal of coaching to our administrators so that they also have the ability to know when there is a system breakdown. When there are a number of students that cannot access or obtain whatever certification may be or assessment, is that they are aware, and that's through continuous sort of data, looking at that data in a monthly, quarterly basis for our students. The lack of student awareness of the available pathways, I think I sort of stated that, which we are trying to launch a credential awareness. So those students that have multiple opportunities to acquire, whether it be credit for Algebra 1, and that also bleeds into maybe a post-start opportunity, that they are aware that those credentials and those credits will, as Dr. Mallerwein had mentioned, will equate or connect for those students if they choose to change a pathway or if they choose to change direction. So obviously filling the students, staff, parents with the necessary information to make those quality decisions, I think is something that will definitely be different coming into this year. Again, trying to fill the space and fill knowledge of the staff. And then last, the cost of exams. I mean, that's a huge cost. AP exams are a dollar amount. And so many of our students choose not to participate in those particular spaces. And so I think going through the academies of Albuquerque, we can easily leverage partners to maybe help alleviate some of those potential responses. And then I also know that many of our schools are now working towards creating funds, whether it be fundraising and or utilizing funds that we get from College Board to alleviate some of those barriers for the students. And I hope I captured a portion of what you even asked.
You did. And the second part of my question was, what can we as board members do to assist in this area, if anything at all?
I think one of the board member Benavides, members of the board, and Dr. Blakey, I think one of our partners who stood up in the back, Scott Benavides, was very clear with the idea that as barriers come about, whether it be firewalls or funding for, I think those have to be conversations that take place, and we take actionable steps to make it happen.
One thing I'll add, and specifically to industry certifications, we heard the CEO from United Way speak tonight, and they are one of our partners that are engaging community and helping us fundraise and get some financial assistance. And as we build out our pathways and we have kids they're doing apprenticeships and internships, I believe it's going to be only natural for industry to come to the table to support the opportunity for kids to get their industry certifications. One of the ideas and the big idea for these academies, and it's one of the reasons I relocated to Albuquerque, is because I believe in this work at its core, is that we're going to produce better qualified humans for the city of Albuquerque, and that will strengthen the economic foundation. And that's going to be a partnership with community, business and industry, families, students. It's an all-inclusive city effort. And so as we build these out and we work with United Way and our industry partners, we don't have it nailed down. I don't have a specific yet, but I promise you we'll get to a place where that industry certification fees will not be a concern.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I just want to be very clear, no relation to Mr. Benavides who spoke earlier. Thank you.
Do you have a follow-up or?
I do not. Thank you.
Board Member Tomorito.
Yes, as I was looking at your supplemental disaggregated data, I was noticing our children with disabilities, they sit at a 12% in special education and in achieving goal 3. I wanted to know not only why this is the lowest out of all the groups that are listed, but specifically toward transition plans and next steps. If we're creating those and making sure that kids have these opportunities throughout the years, and by the time they graduate, that significantly having opportunities. So I'd like to know, how are you using transition plans or next steps to implement goal 3?
Madam President, Member Tomorito, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, I would say that's a specific area that was really focused in on last year, especially on the next step plan side. So as you may recall, last time we presented on goal 3, the Level All platform was piloted in the Albuquerque Public Schools by the New Mexico Public Education Department. It's basically more of a modern, sophisticated way to ensure that the next step plan is being used. I will be very honest and say that we learned a lot last year and things did not necessarily work to our satisfaction. But that's the good thing about being a pilot, because we can give feedback to the state and make sure that the platform is working to our need. One of the things that I will say came out of last year and that pilot work was an elevation of the next step plan. And the next step plan, I think, in some ways was compliance at best in the past. We just got to get this done. It wasn't a meaningful conversation with parents or students. It wasn't a meaningful exercise. And the Level All platform not only ensures that there's parent, teacher, student connection, but there's also a connection to the economic landscape in the state of New Mexico. So based on your interests, based on your strengths, how is that connected to the economic opportunities that the state has awaiting you as a student? I think that process will only grow in its sophistication. And as we build its utility in APS, I really believe that we will make connections and we will utilize that platform to its intent. It truly is a powerful connection piece more than anything, and a conversation tool with students, parents, and school. So I think that's what I would say in terms of the next step plan. With the transition plans specific to special education, I would say that Level All added a component to those conversations, an added piece that wasn't necessarily there in the past. Transition plans are important, as are IEPs, and they need to be specific in nature, and they need to be specific to the kid and the team that's working on that IEP. The Level All component is an added piece of data that can facilitate that conversation in terms of student strengths, interests, and how we're working on going back to the student's progress, making that transition plan specific for that student as they move throughout the grades in APS.
Follow up.
Yes, go ahead.
You stated next steps and transition plans. Why are we doing both?
So, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, Member Morito, the transition plans are required.
Yeah, I know.
And as you know, they're required, so we take that legal responsibility very seriously in conjunction with the IEP. The next step plan is also statutorily required because we need to facilitate that for all of our students. So I think the trick here is going to make sure that we have a real good point of intersection as we're using these different systems to support the students' continuum along the path.
And one more follow-up. Can you tell me where we would find the data for Goal 3 for twice exceptional students?
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, Member Morito, we can get that to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Board Member Astorga.
Thank you. Thank you, team, for this report. I have two questions. My first question is directly related to Board Member Tomorito's question. And what specific programs and support, such as inclusive freshman academy pathways, will APS scale to increase the percentage of students with disabilities, since they're 12%, but also are Black and African-American students, since they are only at 28%. So more in kind of like a district-wide systemic level, what inclusivities are you bringing to our students?
Madam President, members of the board, Member Dr. Blakey, Member Astorga, a couple of things in regards to that piece is, I think, the inclusive nature of students in classrooms is really, simple and foremost, something we need to work to achieve and do well. Part of that is equipping our teachers with the skills that they need to ensure that they have and celebrate an inclusive classroom culture. We recognize that all students, including African-American students and students with disabilities, have a lot to contribute and learn from their peers. So how do we facilitate that dynamic classroom culture? And there's a few things that we've done over the years to ensure that we are giving our teachers what they need. For example, August 4th is an example of that. When teachers came together and based on their voice of what they need, we provided a dynamic portfolio of multiple venues, including this very topic, for teachers to take advantage of as they lift up best practices from their peers to implement in their classroom to ensure a classroom of inclusivity. Having a high school classroom of 30 students with individual needs, regardless of background, is a skill. And it's something that we celebrate on a daily basis because we have some great teachers doing it. Now what we need to do is lift up our best practices and share them throughout the district. And I believe August 4th was an example of how we can do that.
Madam President, members of the governing board, Dr. Blakey, governing board member Astorga. Ma'am, I'd like to add just a little bit to that on the environmental shift that is occurring. Again, I've been a little bit a part of the shift in previous experiences. So as we're bringing teaming in the interdisciplinary pedagogy into our junior high classrooms, it is built around inclusive. It's inclusive in nature. It's built around kids and building the collaborative aspect of kids. One thing that I've seen for our marginalized students is they start to experience success in a different environment. They start to see themselves more inclusive in environment. And what I believe will occur and what I've seen occur is that students that it's a mindset with a lot of our students that grow up and struggle, students that can't see themselves in their future in college. They just need that little bit of a spark or that little bit of opportunity to see themselves in success. And that's what our environmental shifts are gonna happen. Sometimes kids will get in a pathway because they're interested in something and they'll have to take an AP class to stay in that pathway. They're gonna experience some success in there because of the pedagogical model that they have been in for the last 4-5 years. As we're changing environments right now, 6 through 12, as we're moving our teaming from our middle grades into our freshman academy and then into our academies. So I think the environmental shift is something that's going to create a more inclusive environment. It's going to create more opportunities, but it's also going to give kids a mindset shift because they're going to be aware of information, provocation, and stimulus that they haven't had in the past about what are possibilities in the future. We know how we motivate human beings is to be able to give them a path to success or mastery in the future. And that's what this environmental shift led by Superintendent Blakey is going to result in. And it's really going to help all kids, and definitely our marginalized community is going to be able to see themselves and see success that they haven't really seen in traditional school. That is why the shift is occurring.
Thank you for the intentionality of inclusiveness when it comes to culture and the environment in the classroom. I would like to hear a little bit more in what specific supports you have for inclusivity when it comes to software or even mechanics. So we'd had some students speak today about the auto mechanics that they have in their school. If there were students with disabilities who wanted to attend that type of pathway, do we have certain funding in place for material that we might need that's specific to students with disabilities or things like that?
We will have Assistant Superintendent T.C. Reiser, Assistant Superintendent of Special Education, answer that question.
Good evening, President Gonzalez, Superintendent Blakey, and Member Astorga. So our special education students spend a lot of time in our career classes. They do very well in mechanics. They do very well in all of our hands-on classes. That's where we actually flourish for our students. I can talk about some of what we are doing in Albuquerque Public Schools. So at Albuquerque High Schools, our students with disabilities are in our career exploration classes. We're really working to get them into more of our AP classes and dual credit classes. That's really where we struggle most. We do have students at Albuquerque High School attending a lot of the bilingual SIL classes. So I've got like 4 schools that I can give you ideas with. At El Dorado High School, we've really worked to have a collaboration between the general ed and special education teachers so that they're really focusing on the secondary skills acquisition. And in addition, we put an 18 to 22 teacher at every high school to really work on those work-based internships and opportunities off campus and in the community. At Highland High School, they have elective classes and CTE pathways for students with disabilities and off-site work study placements. For example, students are going to Hawthorne Elementary School and working in different roles at the school. They are doing administrative support roles in elementary school offices, working in VA hospital partnerships and at Roadrunner Food Bank. On site at Highland High School, they're working in the business and management classes, ProStart culinary arts programs and fine arts programs. And and every student, including those in our special education program, has access to the pathways that prepare them for life after high school. An example at Sandia High School, they have work-based learning and community experiences. So they have partnerships with local businesses and job shadowing and community-based experiences. What I will tell you is that through those transition programs, we are working to have our teachers really talk about the bilingual seal and advanced courses and industry certifications, because that's really where we miss out, is in those transition plans and talking about the opportunities for our students. So that is one of the goals as we're working with our head teachers and IEP specialists to present those opportunities to students through transition planning.
Yeah, great. That answered my question. I have another question, but should I wait?
Why don't you we'll all get through one and then we'll come back. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Board Member Tapia Romero.
Thank you. So I guess my question's gonna be related more to thinking more macro in relation to goal 3, but what broader system changes and structures has the district implemented to support goal 3? If you can be specific, I guess that it's not macro, it's more micro. Please.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Blakey. One of the things that I thought about in anticipation of this meeting is something I don't want us to overlook, and I believe it's really huge from a systems change point of view, from an equity point of view, and an access point of view. And that is this year when students pre-registered for classes, it was done in a very different way. We had our district course catalog that was accessible to all students, regardless of the school that they went to, regardless of the classes that were traditionally offered at that school. We had students register based on what they wanted, be it bilingual, AP, IB, dual credit, what have you, to collect the data so that we as the adults in the room would know what our students at any one of our high schools was wanting to take. That doesn't necessarily mean we offered the class this year at that school, but we had valuable piece of information that we had 40 kids at Manzano High School that wanted X class. So now as adults, as schedulers, as planners, we are now knowing how do we achieve this for the students at Manzano from a let's hire a teacher to teach that class. Let's think differently of how to get these kids to a school nearby that they can take that class. And we are providing ourselves with data and the voice of our students. So I think that is one of the things that I am very excited about, because it cuts across all of these areas, whether it's bilingual seal, dual credit, industry certification, AP or IB. All of that data is now in our fingertips so that we are able to do a more intentional job in a systematic way in the years to come in service to our kids.
I think the other thing that's really important to know is that this, especially in the first year as superintendent, is that the majority of the time is spent putting the system structures and support in place to be able to move on these things. And one thing that cannot be overlooked is the overhaul of high school credits. So if you all recall, we had House Bill 171 that was passed that changed the way we do high school. And you all as a board supported the work in making sure that our students had access to more elective credits, which is huge in being able to move on this work. So without that, I don't think we would be in a place to overhaul the high school learning experience in this way because of some bureaucratic things that were kind of in the way of credits. So really the work that you all did in approving the credits for high school is instrumental in giving the kids enough room in their schedule to even take these pathway classes.
No, thank you for that. And I want to commend you too, because I love the intentionality that you spoke about to actually collect the data that's needed to make the changes going forward versus it just being specific to a school only. So I love the forward thinking that we're collecting and just the changes that we're making, just looking ahead. So thank you for that.
Any follow-up? Okay. So I'm going to ask my question and then we'll go back through if there's anybody else that has questions. So my question is tailing off of the one that I asked previously, and it's about we have the schools that are piloting the academies of Albuquerque, and then we obviously have the rest of the schools that are not they're non-academy schools right now. And the answer, as best as I can understand it, was that the academy schools are going to receive very structured support. The non-academy schools will receive targeted support as we transition. So my question from like a sustainability and scalability viewpoint is, how are you going to ensure through targeted support that the non-academy model students will still receive the benefits of the advanced credit, the certification, the bilingual opportunities while working through the scalability process?
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, Member Jackson, thank you for that question. So a couple of thoughts. The first one is the initial pilot schools, Manzano, Cibola, and Highland, all received an assistant principal and what we're calling an academy coach, because we recognize that this model is going to take support specifically at the onset. We will acknowledge as a district that we are learning. We have some internal conversations that are happening very much at the grassroots level with our principals and our teachers, spreading common language and common expectation. You're right. The likelihood of us being able to offer an AP and an academy coach at scale for all of our schools may not necessarily be possible. So how do we take the staff through our pilot and how do we scale it with existing staff to change the way their essential functions are being executed right now? For example, every high school has a number of assistant principals. Moving forward, those assistant principals may be changing from traditional essential functions that we use, like curriculum assistant, student services, and buildings and grounds, to still do some of those functions, but they would also be charged with the oversight of an academy or a pathway. They would be working on the instructional side. So everybody on campus is part of the instructional pathway and focus of our students, not isolated or siloed to specific things that need to be done. The other thing is academy coaches. That may be a position that we foster and look at for all of our schools, because we know that this work needs coordination. This work needs to be done and done well. Well, there's other roles that we have throughout the district, resource teachers, instructional coaches, that some of those positions may need to be relooked at. The point I'm trying to make is we have passionate, strong people in our schools every day. And how do we work with them to come along for this journey with us? And some of that may mean for all of us is looking how we do things differently. We also recognize at the district level that we have CTE, and that grant, Perkins, has a very specific set of compliance requirements. But the work of the academies of Albuquerque is no disrespect to the work of traditional CTE programming, but it's dynamic, it's innovative, it's exciting in the sense that we're going to take the work of CTE, we're going to take the work of teaming, we're going to take the work of pathways, and we're going to integrate it into meeting the student experience, school by school and student by student. So those are some attempts at answering your question.
So I would like to have a follow-up. Yes, I can have a follow-up. I think you answered the question of how it's going to work for the academy schools. My concern is in the interim, as the scalability is going up, what is the strategy specifically for the non-academy schools while we are scaling? Because I know scaling is not going to happen next year. It's going to take a few years. And Dr. Mahlerwein, you seem to have been speaking from a position of authority on academies. I'm going to assume that you have some experience with this. So I'm wondering if you could discuss maybe any strategies or experience that you have where you came from to ensure that while we're building the academies, the other traditional schools are not getting left behind. And I'm sorry if that puts you on the spot, but here we are.
We're authority. Madam President, members of the governing board, Superintendent Blakey, Board Member Jackson. The work is iterative, and when you innovate, you have to begin. If you don't begin, if you plan, you never really innovate. You just kind of spin your wheels until the next new thing comes around. So in my past experience, and I can only speak to that as I'm 13 days in, is that you build a team and you communicate across all areas. So the people that aren't innovating and aren't in the work at the moment are learning about the work, and they're starting to digest it, understand it, having those conversations. We have high expectations for instruction in every classroom in every high school. That doesn't change. What really changes as you build out an academy is the sequencing and the intentionality on what kids are taking and why. So at our other high schools, we have a new CTE director that has a lot of experience, and she's currently looking at non-academy schools in the sequencing of those CTE classes. Just because you're not in an academy school doesn't mean you can't earn an industry certification. It doesn't mean that our counselors can't start looking at our students and being intentional on how we schedule them so they can get an advanced class and they can get a dual enrollment class. So a lot of the aspects of Goal 3 can be met in a traditional system. We will be communicating, Marco and I will ensure that we are communicating with our high schools, and we are kind of we're establishing our why, and we are getting our academies off the ground. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it's iterative. We're going to figure out what we believe will work. We will diagnose it over time in it's the teaching and learning cycle, and we'll get better. It's the design thinking process. But our schools that aren't in academies, we are still going to support good pedagogy. We are still going to support teachers in the classroom. We are still going to support kids. And our counseling department will still counsel kids to get completer classes. We always want all kids to take an advanced class, because we know that advanced experience can be the difference between post-secondary success and non-success. So I don't know if I have a very specific or clear answer, but as you have your earlier adopters and you're working on the specific environmental shift that's occurring there, you are educated and building a team with everyone. And what happens is, and what has happened in my experience is, as you build a team and you build clarity of the vision and you really establish the why we are doing this, scale accelerates. So we may go slow in the beginning, but like Daniel Kahneman says, we'll go slow to go fast. I'm not exactly sure when that acceleration will occur. I don't know if any really innovative company knows, but if you build the team the right way and you communicate the right way, there comes a time where scale does accelerate. In my previous experience, I'll share with you because you've asked, I spent 2 years building what I would call a psychologically safe team that really understood the vision of tomorrow and what we wanted to do for future. And then we went from conversation to scale in 2 years. And everybody was like, how did it go that fast? Well, nobody talked about the 2 years we worked building a common understanding, really building a level of trust where we will get to a point where you asked about support. The best support we can do is when we can build a high school division that they reach out to other high schools and say, how do we do this? And they collaborate as a team. Albuquerque Public Schools is one one organization. We're not 13 silos of high schools, but that has to be built, and that communication foundation has to be built. And we have a superintendent that's promoting that. There's an assistant superintendent that is buying into it. Every high school person I've met is the most high energy human. I'm like, where'd you find all these people? I think it can happen, but it's going to take some intentionality and some time. And once it comes together, we will scale at a much faster.
Thank you. Okay, I will go back down. Are there any follow-ups or secondary questions that anybody has? Yes, board member Sorga put her finger up, so then I'll come back.
Thank you, Board Member Jackson. I'm loving everything that I'm hearing, and I just want to point out that we are on target. We're past our target goal, so that's really, really great. And all of our questions are just, to figure out more information. So you guys are doing awesome. And I wanted to know more about how we're connecting these opportunities that the students have for certifications with community partners so that they're able to use those actual certifications after they leave our pathways. So are we working with local unions? Are we working with small businesses? What does that look like?
Yes, I can kind of answer that, Board Member Astorga. Yes to all of that. And it is, I think the important thing about this particular initiative, I guess, of rethinking high school is that the community is so eager and supportive of joining us. We have isolated pieces of this. We have students who have paid internships. We have students who have, completer courses. We have students that get certification. We have great things happening, but it's not as a system. It's if you happen to know about it or have access to it. So this is really how do we create it as a system? And our local unions, our community partners, everybody is really anxious. And it is actually hard to say like, well, we have to build it, and it is something that makes it different because I think in the past where we've tried bits and pieces of this, it's been a school trying to do it with a partner or a business or a teacher who tries to set up their students for all the internships on their own. And it's just not sustainable. It's also not connected to what the community needs. And this is really intentional from a high level to make sure that our students graduate with skills that are able to stay in Albuquerque and in New Mexico, particularly. And that is something very unique to it. It's not just like, oh, let's create, a pathway that then they have to go somewhere else to get a job. We know that we're in a healthcare crisis in New Mexico, so we anticipate that there will be several health academies because of the need for it, and a lot of partners who are very interested and eager in helping us. We also plug in for next Tuesday at 10:30. We're having a partnership meeting at Bonifacio to bring people together to grow this excitement, but also know that we have community partners. We will have an average of 5,000 to 6,000 students a year that need internships. So I think when people are like, oh, we can take 3, we really want to partner, like we have the kids, we're talking about thousands of students each year. So it's actually based on community need rather than on individual school need of what we're responding to.
Great. And just a quick follow-up with that. Is there anything that board members can do to help accelerate that response for community partnership?
I think, yes, I think board members could continue to talk about the connection to the community and connect us to those connect the community partners to us to create these opportunities for students. Because along the way, there's lots of different ways to be involved as a community partner. Some might be at the highest level of engagement, and some might be like we are able to participate in the career fair. We're able to do the work-based learning field trip versus the ones that are like, no, we want internship. So there's a variety of ways to get involved. So yes, I think board members could help in connecting us to the community. And as you have community outreach meetings, inviting us to come to talk to the community about this partnership too.
Great, thank you.
Okay, is that it? Sorry, Board Member Tomorito, I said I'd go to Board Member Dominguez.
Okay.
Gosh, so many questions and so little time, prompted by the new information. First, I want to say thank you, Mr. Marco Harris, for the specifics, of your answers. Is what I was looking for. And I'll take you back to that. When you were, I forget what question you were addressing, but you mentioned that you were meeting with high schools and encouraging a monitoring of systems to know where their systems break down. You talked about a monthly analysis of data. That to me is what I'm looking for to understand how we're going to capture, and this segues into my next question, how we're going to have an intentionality about this 33.7% gap between students with disabilities and the aggregate system, or sorry, the aggregate outcomes, which are phenomenal, right? We are beyond our annual target, and that's great. My curiosity lies with not only looking at the 4 top groups that are doing well, but then I also go to the other end, and those 3 groups are children with disabilities, Native Americans, and ELL kids. And also, there was an up and down and up or down again with Black and African Americans. So how are we ensuring an intentionality in next steps to closing the gap of our most disengaged students beyond? I hear that you're doing the EWS system, but I guess I'm eager to hear, especially around special ed kids.
Board Member Dominguez, members of the board, I think one of the main things to answer your question is that we are creating a system. Right now, I think because we are doing work to make progress, but it is isolated in separate systems, and we are still operating in a, if you know that that is available, if you know that this program is available, if you know this opportunity is available, it's not as a system. So I think like overall, when we create these systems, it's not up to who you know or how you access an internship or work-based learning experience, but it's how every high schooler's experience will be through the academies be able to be exposed to these levels. And right now we're not operating as a system. So I think overall in how we're creating the academies, in every student at every high school will be in one. It's not except for we have this school that won't have, or we have this that won't, or this track won't, it's every student. And so in doing that as a system, we're breaking down that isolation or the concept of if you have access to know that that program is available, or that you talk to this teacher or you go to this school. I think it's really important to point out, and I think Ms. Reiser is doing a lot of work on this, that special education, we are really working as a district to make sure that people understand that it's a service. Special education is a service for students. It's not a place that students go. And as we continue to try to break that down, then it isn't this, oh, do special education students, are they part of the academy? All students are part of the academy. Special education isn't a place that students go. And it's a lot of foundational work we have to do to keep breaking those ideas down, to make sure that the academies are there to change our education system, to make sure we do open these opportunities for many of our youth that are not seeing that this is out there for them.
Right. And I heard that the district-wide catalog registration was one step toward that. And appreciate that. I think that's exciting. And that you're gathering data about that. I'm just wondering, as you're gathering that data, what is surfacing specifically to this group, but also we've got 4 academies, right? Is that right? The high schools, it's Highland.
We have 3 high schools that are like the early adopters of academies. We also have pieces of the academies at Valley and Rio Grande as one strand of an academy, but they're not an academy of the whole school.
Okay, so within those 3 that are piloting, I guess, is there an intentionality geared toward these kids that tend to be the most disengaged?
Member Dominguez, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, I think to kind of go back to the original portion of the question, like a specific strategy, right? What we are doing with our principals coming into this year is we're being very specific and intentional, looking at their scorecards. And on the scorecards specifically would be students with disabilities, and monitoring how many students we have in particular settings, setting 1, setting 2, moving those in and out. And there are specific numbers. I don't think I need to dive deep into that. But with that, we are actually reframing or reorganizing our professional development monthly, and we are bringing departments into the mix who have the data, who are the experts, who are going to sit with our principals and work through what that data is saying and how then we can put some actionable steps into play. So one example would be our jobs as the assistant supes in coaching our principals. We're going to help them identify a problem of practice, and it is going to be what we will look at every 30 days. And much of the theory behind it is aligned with the 90-day plan. What we know is we need to strengthen 90-day plans to really strengthen the work of what we are going to do within the academies or anything else in which we support. And so that would just be one way in which we are attempting to get our leaders on board with the idea of being very intentional with what data they look at and how they adjust it and move through the system.
So it's through that guidance that you're going to get to these.
It's definitely the guidance in building capacity with each of the adults that interface with our young people.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And Board Member Tomorito.
Just to carry off of what you just said about the adults that will interact with the young people, I would like to know, how are you reaching out to the families? Because they're the big supports for all of these programs. And right now it's very clouded. So I don't know what your initial plans are to do your outreach to families and parents and those who may need to know so they can support their students.
Board Member Tomorito, members of the board, Dr. Blakey, are you speaking with regards to
Just your programs. So looking at advanced
in
placement.
developing the academies or all programs in general?
The academies, and then you can go in all programs.
So with the academies, I can speak to specifically just around the idea with working with Board Next Gen. They are actually supporting us in setting up tactic teams. And so in these tactic teams, there are very specific, for one, it's a communication tactics team, and is how we will ultimately bring families, bring student voice, bring staff, leadership voice to the table so that we can make the most appropriate decision to move an academy forward one way or the other for all groups of students that we deal with.
Okay.
All right, any other follow-ups, questions? Okay, seeing none, I will say thank you to the board members and thank you to our panel for this very productive conversation. Goal 3 is very exciting and we really appreciate the work that you have been doing and look forward to see how this is going to scale up for our students. So now we must vote on whether or not we will accept this monitoring report. As a point of clarity, we are voting to accept this report as a formal acknowledgement that we had a satisfactory conversation with the superintendent and have a deeper understanding of how the current reality for students lined up with our vision for them.
In order to accept, we must answer yes to the following 3 questions. I will ask them individually. Does the reality of this report meet our vision of the goal? Okay, I see all yeses. Is there growth towards the vision? Seeing all yeses. Is there a strategy and plan sufficient to cause growth toward the vision? Again, seeing all yeses. So the answer is yes to all 3. So the board can accept the monitoring report confident that data is accurate and the superintendent is performing. At this point, we are ready to entertain a motion to accept this monitoring report.
Thank you, Member Jackson, for facilitating that conversation. Do we have a motion and a second?
I will move to accept the progress monitoring report for Goal 3, post-secondary readiness. This is Member Jackson.
I'll second. This is Board Member Dominguez.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito,
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Yes. So the motion carries. Again, thank you to the team for the presentation and more importantly for your work on this goal. We will move on to our next agenda item, which is to consider approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion and a second to approve agenda items 7.1 and 7.2?
I will motion that we approve the consent agenda items 7.1 and 7.2. This is Board Member Benavides.
I will second. This is Board Member Astorga.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Janelle Astorga,
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito.
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Danielle Gonzalez.
Yes, so that motion carries and we will move on to the next agenda item, which is the president's report. We'll start with public forum, which again is not an opportunity for dialogue, but we do want each speaker to know that their voice was heard and the district will be working with us and the board members on resolutions. Some of the issues that we heard about tonight were regarding the freshman academies, APS Goal 3, a sense of belonging at school, AP and IB courses and pathways, the 20-day Welcome Back initiative at Del Norte High School, ICAR Highland Pro Start Pathway at Highland High School, Indigenous Knowledge Keepers Program, Children's Health and Wellbeing, and the U.S. Constitution Program. So thank you again to our public forum speakers for that. I also want to acknowledge that today we were reminded of the seriousness of safety in our schools when guns were discovered on campus. And while this is deeply concerning, it also highlights that the systems that our district has put in place are indeed working as intended. A teacher immediately used the district's panic button system to alert for help. Students and staff followed our see something, say something protocols, and law enforcement responded swiftly. We are tremendously grateful for the quick action of our school staff, APS Police, the Albuquerque Police Department, and their strong coordination with the district attorney's office. The safety of our students is our highest priority, and we will continue to strengthen our prevention efforts, expand safety training, and work closely with the DA's office to bring school presentations and resources directly to our students. Our community must remain vigilant. Together with students, staff, families, law enforcement, and our community partners, we can prevent dangerous situations and keep our schools safe. I want to also acknowledge that next week we have the State of the District address. This is the second annual State of the District. It's on August 26th from 8:30 to 10 a.m. at Berna Facio. Please note the new start time, which is 8:30. In addition to Dr. Blakey, we will have Dr. Michael Richards, the Executive Vice President of UNM Health Sciences, who will share remarks. We also have students participating as MCs, fireside chat hosts, musicians, and guests. Our goal is to have a large community presence at this event, so encourage all board members to continue to please reach out to your connections, share the information, share everything you possibly can to turn people out to our State of the District events. We know that personal invitations are important and they matter. The District Board Services Office has provided graphics for us to use on social media, invitations, emails, texts, and otherwise. So please continue to promote the event, and we look forward to seeing everyone on Tuesday at Bonifacio. This concludes the president's report. And the next Board of Education meeting will be Wednesday, September 3rd at 5 p.m. here at the Alice and Bruce King Educational Complex at 6400 Uptown Boulevard Northeast, and also live streamed at aps.edu. Our next item is to consider approval for the Board of Education to convene an executive session as authorized by the Open Meetings Act to discuss certain purchases as allowed under Section 10-15-1H6 and Procurement Code Section 13-1-116. We need a motion and a second, and then we'll have a roll call vote.
I move to approve for the Board of Education to convene in executive session as authorized, as noted.
This is Member Tapia Romero, a second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Crystal Tapia Romero,
Yes.
Vanilla Storga,
Yes.
Ronaldo Tomorito,
Yes.
Heather Benavides.
Yes.
Josefina Dominguez.
Yes.
Courtney Jackson.
Yes.
Daniel Gonzalez.
Yes, so the motion carries, and we will transition now into executive session. So I ask that anyone who is not part of the executive session to please leave the meeting. And we will convene